Hey guys, it's Cali. Today I'm going to show you how I created this journal page for the August challenge through Mike Deakin's Mission Inspiration Group. He had a guest mission controller this month, Shell C from Paper Ocotillo Studios, and I'll put everybody's link below. I had a blast creating this page with the prompts that Shell gave us, and I hope you enjoy my process. If this looks like something you're interested in, please stick around and I'll show you how I did it. Okay, so our first prompt is to glue torn fragments of a map or atlas. So I have a combination of some things I had, some things I got in Happy Mail, random pieces of map, and I'm going to use my good old Americana decoupage matte medium. Poured some in my palette dish here. I have an old brush, and we're just going to go for it. I haven't watched anyone else's mission videos. I like to go into this kind of blind with no preconceived ideas. That doesn't change for me. Keeps it fun. I don't know what's going to come out. Why am I covering the whole page? I don't know. All right, I'm just going to rip. And stick. And cover this whole page. I always say that I'll leave space in between, but I usually don't. So, that looks like a piece of crossword puzzle. I had a children's atlas book. You can see on the back of it has crosswords. I love crossword puzzles. Haven't done any in a while. I love these challenges. You know, I've said this before, but because they really, allow you to get outside of your comfort zone. And I think we all get into routines of how we do things. And this is good. And I like that Mike is having guest mission controllers, if you will, to get their input too. And I'm wondering if people choose these prompts blindly or if they're planning them out. Let me know, Mike or Shell, how you guys do this. If you plan out how the prompts are coming. Because I kind of like the idea of a blind prompts when you don't know what's coming next. Okay. This looks cool. Let's save that. Rip up a little bit of this one just for some change in texture. Yeah, I will leave space in between. Look at me being all daring. And I'm working, obviously, it's upside down, but I'll make it so you guys can see what's going on, obviously. All right, I think that's it. I'm just going to let this dry. I always say that. I think that's it. Let's keep going. Yeah, let's let this dry, and then I'll be back with the next prompt. See you in a few minutes. Okay, this is still wet, but I see that the next prompt is to sprinkle on some confetti and spray ink over that. I figured I'd do that while this is drying rather than having to re-glue it. I did not have any confetti, so I decided to just make some out of tissue paper. I just cut it up very small, and these are various colors of green, and I'm just going to sprinkle this all over the page. Never done this before. It's a party. It's a confetti party. I really like the idea of this for texture. Cool, man. All right, so now I will let this dry and come back with some inks. Not sure what colors, but I'll figure it out when I get back here. I can't stop sprinkling. I'm going to sprinkle all of it, have it on a cutting board. There you go. Whee! A little more in the middle there than I wanted, but that's all right. All right, guys, we'll let this dry, and then I'll come back with some ink. See you in a minute. Okay, so this is mostly dry, but I'm not going to worry about that at all. And I have a combination of spray inks that we're going to use. I always use my Deco Art Media misters. I have a couple shimmer misters. And this one's in primary cyan. This is turquoise, yellow, and primary yellow. And I also have two of my Delusions ink sprays. This one's in vibrant turquoise, and this one's in cut grass. So I'm just going to randomly spray these on. I thought about using a stencil, but it's not going to matter because you can't get too hung up on each of these layers because they always ultimately wind up being covered and changed. So I just want to go with it. Feeling green today, I guess. Well, that's pretty. Turquoise. And got some yellow. Just to break it up a little bit. Ooh. Never quite know how these are gonna come out. And some of this. Alright, that looks cool. I'm going to go back in one more time with this primary cyan. I really like this one. Okay. Let this dry. The confetti and the tissue paper will absorb a lot of that. So I'll see you back here for the next step. Okay, so this is nice and dry, and now step 3 is to add rubber stamping. And I just went through my stamps and I pulled out this random sheet. I can't even remember. I got these in somebody's D-stash. I think they may be Inkadoo stamps. Inkadinkadoo. So I'm going to use one of these, or two of these, or all of these. And I have some black StazOn ink. One of these days I'll actually invest in an acrylic stamp mount, but that day is not here. So I'm just going to use them like this. And I have no idea how this will act on top of the confetti or what we're going to get here, but I'm just going to go in. And again, this is going to be the bottom of my page, so I'm kind of working upside down right now, but I don't think it's much going to matter. Just lay them down randomly. Yeah, you can't even... You have to look to really notice that. Another thing I need to invest in is some different colored inks, because I have black and white and purple, which has sufficed for the time being. Work with what you have. I don't know if you guys can really see that. I took a picture of this page thus far and posted it on Facebook. Sometimes I really enjoy a particular stage, and when you know it's going to get covered up and you don't know what it's going to turn out like, it's nice to have a record of the process. So that looks cool, just more background stuff. adds a little something something. Looks like we're in the forest here. That's cool. I like it. I like the way that it looks like leaves. And I like the little circles on it. I don't know how well you guys can see it, but I will show you. Okay, and maybe one more up here in the corner. So I think that looks cool. I'm glad I used this stamp. This is the one. And I think, should we do one right in the middle? Why not? A lot of this will be covered up, and you never know what's going to peek through. So that's going to be it for the stamping for now. And I'll be back with step 4. See you in a minute. Okay, so step 4 is to paint or add an image of a tree. And I debated back and forth whether I wanted to collage something or directly paint on here. I've decided to just go for it. And I sketched out, just with a ballpoint pen, an image of a tree that I thought would be okay. So I'm going to take a Sharpie, and I apologize, this is going to look upside down to you, but I will turn it around. I'm just going to sketch this out, and then I'll paint it. So just kind of a rough, this is based on the oak tree that's outside my window. I can't see anymore with this glare. Yeah, so I'm just going to do some random branches here, and then, oh, I'm picking up some of this confetti. See what's happening? And then I'll go back in with some acrylic paint. And I think this part will be covered up too. So, again, I'm trying not to read too far ahead in the prompts, but it's inevitable. You know what's going on. Or you don't know what's going on. And that's okay too. Alright. I know it's hard to see. It's hard for me to see here too. And I have a combination of craft paints. I think it's kind of cool how the this will look like leaves, you know? Alright guys, let's see. I took a combination of Martha Stewart satin and chestnut brown. I just literally grabbed some browns. This is an apple barrel and chocolate bar. Anita's all-purpose in earth brown, and some of this Anita's acrylic in, I don't know, because the label's ripped off. Yeah, and I mix those up in a palette dish like so, and I'm just going to go in and paint this. I have some smaller brushes. I suppose I could turn this around to face you, but I think it's going to be cool with the confetti texture. Yeah, nice. Try to stay within the, nah, don't color within the lines, that's boring. Go outside the lines. Anybody can color in the lines. Do what feels good. I'm just kind of going with the flow here. I'd like to make some leaf definition a little bit, but we'll see. Yeah, so this is what I'm doing for this step, and it's not the world's greatest tree, but you know what? I like it. It will do for the purposes of the page. I thought about doing a tree of life, but all trees are about life. Have you hugged a tree lately? I have an oak tree in front of my house, an elm tree in front of my house, and a willow right across the street. So I'm surrounded by all different kinds of trees here. I live in the mountains of upstate New York. Okay, when I was a kid, I would be sitting right here reading a book. Yeah, so you get the idea, you guys. I'm just gonna go in and I'll do some fine tuning with some smaller brushes and do a little detail, and just, you know, spruce this up a little bit, and I'll come back and I'll show you how that looks, and then we'll move on to the next step. Okay, so this is nice and dry, and as you can tell, I've turned it around so you can see it better. I just used a combination of those browns, and I like how it turned out. So step 5 now is to glue on some thread, twine, or string. And I just grabbed some embroidery floss. I have a few different browns and some black. And I thought that I would take some of my tacky glue. And I don't know if I want to do the whole tree or just the outline. But I'm going to just lay down some tacky glue and outline initially with some thread, and I may cover the entire tree, or like I said, I may just do the outline, but just to give you the gist of what I'm going to do here, pretty self-explanatory, but I think this will look cool. Yeah. So I'm going to carry on here. I have a few different color browns. I may intersperse. So just to give you an idea, I'm going to go around the whole tree, and I'll see you back here when that's done and dry. Okay, I've had a chance to let this dry overnight. I'm really pleased with the way it came out. I hope you can see this okay. It took a long time, probably about 2 hours or so, because of course I couldn't just do the outline. I had to go in and really just, you know. Anyway, I'm really pleased with the way it came out. It looks cool. I'm going to remember this technique and use it in the future. So step 6 is now to add a coloring book focal image. And I took this one. I received in some Happy Mail. It's of the Celtic goddess Arianrod, and I'm going to use a glue stick and glue this on some thicker paper, and then I'm just going to cut her out with her owl. And it said that she had a great silver owl that was used to see inside the souls of men. So I'm going to cut out Arianrod and her owl, and we're going to, I'll probably use my Prismacolor markers to color her in and color the owl, and then we're going to set them on the page. Most likely I'll use some tacky glue. So I'm not going to show you my coloring process. It's just markers and maybe some colored pencils. I'll show you the ones I used, but I'll be back here when it's cut out and glued on. Okay, see you in just a few. Okay, check it out. This is starting to come together, and I love this part in the process, you know. It starts to get really exciting. As you can see, I told you I glued on a piece of cardboard and I just used an Elmer's glue stick and I smoothed it out with this little palette knife thing here. And then I just colored her with a combination of some of my Prismacolor markers, and I went over that with a few of my colored pencils, just random. And what else did I use? I used a couple Sharpies for the flowers and part of the owl. I debated on leaving the wheel that was behind her. She's also associated with a silver wheel representing the wheel of the year, but it was too distracting with all of the other background stuff going on, and I just like the simplicity of her standing with the owl. I also used for some highlights a couple of these. I think I got these at like the dollar store or something. It's ink metallic gel pens. I've had these for a while. They work really good. And I also tried out my Krylon silver leafing pen, which I recently got for the owl, the detail on the owl wings. So I'm really happy with it. I didn't do any outlining or anything because I see one of the steps is to add shadows and highlights. But before we do that, the next step, step 7, I'll be back with that in just a second. Okay, so prompt number 7 is to make circle marks with a paper tube. So like a toilet paper tube or a paper towel tube. I have a toilet paper tube here and I think it's a little big, but then I thought, well, we could do a full moon with that. No pun intended. And I'm going to use my good old Decor Elegant Finish metallic paint. This one's in shimmering silver. And I also took another tube and unwound it, just took it apart, and then made it smaller, rolled it up and made it smaller, and put some masking tape on the edges for some smaller circles. So let's do our full moon. I'm just going to work off the lid here. I love these paints. All right. Try to keep it as circular as possible. And go in right there. Okay, and I may fill that in. And let's go in with a smaller one now. And we'll just do some kind of random circles around. Okay, I think that's enough. And yeah, I'm gonna let, I think, what do you think? Should I fill that in? Let's do it. I'm gonna get a brush and I'm gonna fill it in with some silver. 1 second. All right. Doesn't say you can't, right? Some of this confetti is still lifting off, but a lot of it has stayed. And I really love how it looks like leaves are falling, even though you wouldn't necessarily have green leaves falling. There's powerful winds blowing. Yeah, what do you think? That looks cool. She is a mother goddess. Okay, so let's let that dry and I'll be back with step 8. So this is pretty much dry right now, and I thought we'd just move on to step 8, which is to add shadows and highlights with black and white. I had been meaning to do this anyway, so I have an assortment of, I have a white Sharpie paint marker, a white Uniball pen, a Faber-Castell Pitt pen, brush pen, a Tim Holtz Distress marker, and my Stabilo All pencil with a water brush. And I'm basically just going to outline and shade everything. But I'll just kind of go around, for instance, the tree here. And I'll use a combination. But after I do that, I'll kind of smudge it out a little bit with this brush pen, just so it's not so harsh. Yeah, so I'm going to go around and do that everywhere, including the owl and the goddess and the moon, everything. So I'll see you back here when that's done. Okay, I'm finished with that, and I basically exclusively used my Pitt pen and my white roller ball, and I just basically outlined and highlighted as much as I could. I went through the tree with the black too to kind of just bring out some more of that great texture, and I went around the moon, put some shadows, so I'm happy with it. And I will be back with prompt number 9. See you in a minute. Okay, we're getting near the end. Step 9 is to add a border to your page with ink. So I'm just going to take out my StazOn again, and I have a makeup sponge, and we're just going to go around the edges and kind of just edge the page. Okay, we'll go all the way around. It's one of my favorite ways to do a border. It just puts a nice finishing touch on the page, but it's not too much. So I'm going to go all the way around and we'll finish it up like that, and I'll be back with the very last prompt. See you in a minute. Okay, so prompt 10 is to finish with journaling, a quote or a title. This is always a hard prompt for me because generally I don't use wording in my artwork, so it feels kind of forced, but I'm doing the prompts and, you know, I'm always pleasantly surprised. So I kind of went back and forth, and I decided on some lyrics from a song about another Celtic goddess, although it's not Arianrhod, it's Rhiannon by Fleetwood Mac. And I thought of 2 quotes from the song. Excuse me. The first one is, "She rules her life like a bird in flight," I thought is appropriate. And the other quote, "Dreams unwind, love's a state of mind." I don't know where to write them on the page, and I thought I'm going to use, you know, my pens again. And I may kind of write it along the length of the tree, or maybe in the folds of her dress. I also thought of maybe doing a spiral in the moon. I'm not sure, you guys. So I want to make it kind of inconspicuous. But yeah, so that's what I'm going to do. And maybe I'll do both quotes. I'm not sure. But I apologize. I'm not going to let you see me sit here and go wishy-washy back and forth of how I want to do this. So I'll see you back here when it's complete, and we will be done with this page. See you in a few. Okay, I took you down off the tripod, and we're going to get up close and personal. I decided to do both quotes, and this one I did on her dress, and I like it. And I did "Dreams unwind, love's a state of mind" in a spiral in the moon. So I think that looks cool too. From a distance, it just kind of looks like texture. And I'll insert some pics here so you guys can get the big picture. But I'm really pleased with the way this came out, and I hope you guys have enjoyed my process. Don't forget to check out the link to Mission Inspiration below, and I'll also put a link to Shell C's channel as well. And give me a thumbs up if you like this video. Please subscribe if you have not yet. And I will see you guys very soon. Take care. Bye-bye.